What is up, everybody? It is good to get back in the studio today to check out the Waveshaper module within the Toybox Nano Pack V2 library in REAKTOR Blocks. I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter on my keyboard and search Nano Waveshaper, and I'm just going to pull up the original one, not the oversampled one, and I'm going to go ahead and patch everything together in series as I have been doing in previous episodes, just to get an idea of how this sounds as like my, perfect guitar pedal, everything kind of running in series, so to speak, for this crazy distortion. So as you can see, we're starting in a relatively simple place. We can use this to select various wavetables, as well as we can use this to select the position of this particular Waveshaper. There's different options. There's a ton of different options in here, from clips to neve, and all sorts of things in between. And now I'm going to start playing with adding the saturator and wave folder into it as well. And as you can see, we started in a relatively simple place and wound up in a place that's very, very interesting. We just got three totally different saturators running in series into one another. Each one perhaps a little more complex than the last one. And it is really cool to play around with the blend of these and how much saturation is going in. I mean, I'm in effect playing bass notes, which should exist nowhere but here on the frequency spectrum. And as we can see from the FabFilter Pro Q3, that it's just because of all the saturation taking place, it's adding all sorts of high frequency content in the upper spectrum. It's just crazy how we can start with something so simple and it can wind up in such a wild place. Talking to myself all the way to the station. Pictures in my head of the final destination. All lined up, all the ones that aren't allowed to stay. Tried to save myself, but myself keeps slipping away. Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs ever. That's when the guitars come in. It's such a great song. But as you can see, I was able to achieve a sound that's very, very fat sounding. It's got tons of low end energy, but it's also got tons of top end, just interesting character. And that's because of these saturators. It's because of these distortion modules that I've then mixed into a plate module, which I have at very low mix setting at very small size, so that you're really only hearing the reverb when the notes are happening. And then it immediately kind of lets up and closes off the reverb just as quickly. So the sound of that plate is not hanging around all that much. So this is a really cool sound. Really cool, really awesome that I was able to make such an interesting sound with so much character, just starting with a couple of sine waves again. And the possibilities only go up and more endless from here when you start understanding that, okay, with this combination maybe, or your own combination of saturation at the end of your chain, you can really get some interesting stuff depending on what you feed into it. And obviously you can see as I, change the level of saturation or change the character of stuff going into the saturation, it makes the saturation behave differently. So the content is key, you know what I mean? Like what you're feeding into it is key. And I was able to demonstrate that on a number of occasions throughout this short series of videos. That is really it. I can't wait to continue exploring these saturation modules, other saturation modules. Let me know what your favorite saturation types are, what your favorite maybe series of saturation, if you were going to build your own perfect guitar pedal, what would that consist of? And yeah, I can't wait to experiment with this even more. Until next time.